Right, don't let people say that comics are shit now. I know there's a lot of people around, there's a lot of naysayers around, especially on YouTube, saying, "Oh my God, I don't buy any new stuff now. I only get back issues because of the heroes of yesteryear." No, do you know what I've just found out recently? And I am a little bit angry about it because I have kind of, instead of looking for myself, which I try and do in life, I try and find out things for myself. I've believed these people, and what I've recently discovered is no, there are some good comics around, and I'm going to review them. I'm going to spin my anger and disappointment in these people into something positive. So what I hope to do is do a kind of regular slot about a few new comics coming out, and maybe comics that I've just recently caught up on, which I have. I've caught up on a lot because I've probably been out of the game 2 or 3 years of new stuff. I've never stopped collecting comics ever, never stopped collecting. But the new stuff, I've thought it's all going to be gender swapped, race swapped. You know, you see the headlines: gay Spider-Man, gender swap Superman, on and on and on and on and on. And then you watch the Marvel films and all the rest of it, and you kind of believe the hype. Again, instead of finding out about that is only half of the story. Let's call it half. But the other half of the story is that there is some good shit about, and I intend to shout about it, and hopefully it might get some people back into it or pick up the graphic novel. I'm not saying we've got to all go buy regular stuff and set up standing orders and all that. It might be that I review something that's on its last issue of its story arc. You can go and get the graphic novel next month or something. Anyway, see you after the scroll for a review of 6 comics that the Hog recommends. Bonjour. Right, so 6 comics I've chosen: 2 Marvel, 2 DC, 2 Independents. Let's see how we go with it. I'm looking forward to this because comics is my first love. 50 years ago when I was, shut up, we don't go there. 50 years ago when I was about 5 in England is my first introduction to comics. Just leafing through the weekly black and white things, whether it was Beano, Dandy, Whizzer and Chips, Topper, Valiant, on and on and on. Then I progressed to the war comics. Get to the age of 7, 8, the Marvel black and white reprints. So I'm reading all the early FFs and, you know, on and on and on. Anyway, so I've loved the stuff for years. Well, you could probably tell, to be fair, surrounded by the stuff. So these are the ones I've chosen. Now, our 2 Marvel, Daredevil, I'm picking up again. Now, he's my favourite character of all time. Him, Captain America, are the ones that I've got runs of. Back to the Silver Age. Latest Amazing Spider-Man run. Now, this particular issue hasn't got John Romita Jr. on the art duties. He has been, but I think they've got a couple of fillers here while they... I'll get into it while they've done not a couple of fillers. I'm not saying they're crap because that's why I've just held it up because I'm recommending it. But John Romita Jr., who I think is top, has been on it for this new run. This is on issue 9 at the moment, but anyway, we'll get into the details of it. The DC ones, this is fantastic. This is fantastic. Batman versus Robin. It's just out this week. Within the latest week or two, listen, these aren't hot off the press, and like I say, I'm just still really getting back into the stuff. So forgive me if I'm a week or 2 out. Don't start getting into, oh my God, that came out 3 weeks ago. This is just latest stuff that I want to, and then it will get more and more and more current. This is just a nice little anthology kind of thing. This Gotham one. I'm going to show you why I find it interesting in a moment. So that's our 2 DC ones. Starhenge, this is awesome. Liam Sharp. Now I know I just mentioned John Romita Jr. Listen, I'm a geeky old hog, so I know, but most of this stuff is new. At least if it's not new artists, it's a new writer, and or both. So forgive me if I'm going banging on about Liam Sharp. You know, I found a comic with Liam Sharp in it, fully painted artwork. Oh, he's been going for years, Hog. Yeah, I know he has, and so has John Rita Jr. There's nothing wrong with that. And the last one is just this. I just really enjoyed the first little run of this erratic by a comic book company called AWA. Oh, sorry, Starhenge was Image, by the way. So we've got Image, this AWA, couple of DC, couple of Marvel. Let's get into them. I'm gonna swap now, so you won't see me no more. I'm just gonna leaf through the comics. I am not going to be giving any spoilers away, because what I want to do is kind of tease you with it and give you as much as I can without telling you the story, particularly in the Batman versus Robin one, because there's a lot in there that if I leaf through everything, it will just give the game away. And I know it's not big, but it just spoils a little bit of the fun. You might have heard things on the Twitter web and and Facegram about what it's about. So what I'm trying to do, it might be that you haven't picked up a Batman comic for decades and you haven't seen anything about it, and you fancy this one for my review, so I don't want to spoil it. So there will be no spoilers, but now we're going to go looking downwards on the comics while I leaf through them and tell you what I'm finding particularly interesting or good, show off a little bit of the artwork, and tell you as much of the story as I can without spoiling it. So it'll be a real general overview, but these are 6 recommendations, so hopefully I'll give you enough to either get you back in the comic shop leafing through the stuff, because that's the only way we find out, isn't it? Leafing through. It's obviously, for me, always got to be artwork driven, because if you have got a poor story, a decent artist is going to get you out of trouble. The other way round, you could have the best story in the world, but if you've got some fucking idiot with crayons, mate, you ain't drawing you a sticking insect, you aren't getting anywhere. You aren't. It does not provide a page turner, but a good artist, good storyteller, sequential art, they can get you going. I will say just one little note on all of that waffle. The Amazing Spider-Man run I said about John Romita Jr. Now he's Lord for storytelling, the boy. And this latest Amazing Spider-Man run isn't up there at the heights of storytelling, writing wise. But I'm not saying it's no good and that the guy can't evolve and develop, and this story isn't going anywhere, because I'm into it for 9 issues so far of the latest run. So what I am saying is the John Romita Jr. artwork really does lead the way. As an example of what I've just been saying, the artwork really does lead the way over the story as it is written, and lends it a bit more depth than it should really deserve. Whereas, like I say, the other way around, it just can't work. It just will not work. So anyway, let's get involved. 2 Marvel first, then the 2 DC, then the 2 independents, in case you are already getting bored and you want to start clicking through to the one that you like the look of on the cover first. So let's go. Right, so here we go. First one, Daredevil. I'll just dive straight in. Chip Zdarsky on the writing duties. Obviously, this is a bit set up. Part 3, we're into a new arc. Now, I don't know how experienced an artist he is, but he's getting into his stride a bit here with, and I like this. I just like this form of Daredevil. I just like all this stuff. He's getting the right tone, this guy. And Chip Zdarsky, who's written the last story arc, and I believe the Reign of Kingpin, whatever it was called before this. I'm just really enjoying it. This is getting back to, like I said in my intro, it just seems like the writers and artists, like, I like all this stuff going back to old Quesada. I think it was when he first started doing that kind of thing on the ropes. And as you can say, as you can see, I'll just crack through. The artwork is by Rafael de la Torre. I've never heard of him before, but that's not. I'm not you know, forgive me if you have. Again, this is nice. It's just, I'm just enjoying the storyline, where they're taking him. It's not too grounded. It's still got that bit. You can see obviously the action's cracking along. I won't go, like I say, I don't want to go into too much of the story, but you can see by the tone of it, I love the Netflix show, and this comic is just more of what made the Netflix show so good, which was based on the older stories which you've all come to know and love. So this is just more the same. Look, haha, loving the big boots, like when they give Batman big boots. Who don't love it? Who don't love it? But this is why it's in here. He is. Obviously, that's going to be no big reveal, so I said there'd be no spoilers. But anyway, next issue. Oh look, that's nice. Next up, Spider-Man issue 9. Like I say, it was John Romita Jr. I mean, he's obviously done the cover. This is like a little filler, like a tie-in with X-Men. Now that does make me groan. It does make me groan. But this is a nice, this kind of is a self-contained story, and you haven't got to buy 18 other issues of X-Men. And it has got, the writer on it at the moment is Zeb Wells, and he's getting the humour back into Spider-Man, into Peter Parker. He's getting it back. This artwork is okay, not as good as John Romita Jr.'s. No, okay does it a disservice. It's not, you know, this is nice stuff. You know, there is nothing wrong with this at all. This is, found that quite amusing. This is nice. I just like the progression. This is good for me. Good comic book storytelling. I love it. And this stuff is just great. It powers through from here. That bomb with, you know, it powers through, and then bang. This is what you call the page turners. The pacing of it's nice. No surprise, obviously, because you one look on the cover, you know Wolverine's in it. And what isn't? Look at this. That's nice. This is just good artwork. Patrick Gleason is doing the artwork on this, and Marcio Menez is the colour artist on it. Forgive me for not mentioning Matthew Wilson, colour artist. I do like mentioning the colour artists nowadays, because with this, in this digital world and with this digital artwork, it's relying on it. You are relying on that colourist so much now to get that effect. You haven't put that effect in your drawing on that glove or those blades. You've done no cross. I mean, all right, he's lined up there, but none of it's cross-hatched, and then the colourist is just doing the old 4-colour, back in the old 4-colour days. So they do deserve a shout out. This is nice, just nice stuff. Nice artwork. Story cracks along. Like I say, this one is a filler issue, this 9, but it is worth getting. Going back, issue 1, same with Daredevil. Just going back and getting these. It's just good. Like I say, good recommendations. And I know I'm kind of cracking through, but this is really just to give you a taster rather than to do a massive. Out of these 6, this is my favourite. This is my favourite one. Now, I'm only going to show a selected few pages of this. Love the artwork. Whether you want to call it classic artwork. It's Mark Waid is on writing duties for this. And obviously, if you're new to comics and you want to pick this up on my recommendation, just know that Mark Waid has written for decades, and he's covered every superhero for both sides of DC and Marvel, and he's done great runs on both. That's all you need to know. Loving this artwork again, just loving the quick snap, kind of like a recap to bring you into an issue 1. The thing I love about this particular issue, this comic, is because you can tell it's written by a veteran, shall we call him, a stalwart of comic writing. Is because if you haven't picked up a Batman comic in the past few months or the past few years or ever, you're straight into it with this issue. I love this moody artwork. Mahmoud Asrar, forgive me if I'm getting any of these names wrong, forgive me. Mahmoud Asrar and Geordie Belair on the colouring. Again, not a lot. Old Geordie didn't have a lot to do in colouring on this one, did he, or she? Nice little build up. Now, I am not going to show the next few pages. I don't really want to kind of give too much to the game away. I want to skip forward just to some more this. Love it. Love it. Just bang. Just that's what you call, you know, if you're going to do a double page spread with a massive fight, or just bang into stuff like this. Then we have some fun with the stuff in the back cave. I'm going to kind of flick through quickly right to the end because I don't want to give too much game away. But this at the end, now it isn't really giving game away. It is linking into obviously Zatanna, Demon, Constantine. So really nice made a change to be hooking that into those kinds of characters, because there is a magical element to the story. So really enjoying that different twist with a Batman story. This one's an oddity. Now, I don't know too much about Future State Gotham, but I understand that this, what I love about that, this is kind of, it's just not a leftover as such, but it's going into how they went forward with the DC characters. Apparently, I could be wrong. Please hit me up in the comments if I'm wrong about this, but I've only picked this up for one reason, and I'll show you in a bit. So what it is this manga. I love this manga approach with the speed lines and the cross hatching and the duo tones and all the classic manga style. Dennis Culver is the writer on it. And right, here we go for some names. Jeffo and Giannis Milono Giannis. So there's two artists on it. Obviously no kind of artists, but I just love it's just something different. Now, this isn't my favourite style of artwork, this isn't my favourite pick comic, but I've just loved it for its different approach. Like if it's a comic you could just, a bit like the other one, but it's a number one, but a comic you could just pick up and maybe just enjoy it for what it is. Or if, you know, they're trying to get, manga is obviously really whipping the arse of, I don't know why Doctor Strange is in it. But anyway, manga's whipping its art, and I just like, you know, some of the, you know, just the artist's approach to it. It's just some good, this is just good shit. It's just good shit, and I recommend it. Have some fun with it. Have some fun. Lighten up a bit, because you know, there is some serious stuff in comics, and I love all that stuff. Have some fun with it. This is why I bought this issue. Adam Hughes. Now, his artwork, mostly in colour, on covers. Loved Adam Hughes since day one. But now it's just interior black and something different. He wrote it as well. And is he the best sequential artist storyteller? No, he's not. But I just enjoy looking at his artwork. I just really do. And in black and white, it's still beautiful. Look at this stuff. I love it. It's something about him, a bit like Dave Stevens back in the day, bless him. Something about how he draws women that is marvellous. And it's marvellous. And it's just a nice little story, just a one-off short story. The Lost Art of Short Storytelling, which I bought. Anyone who wants to listen, it is a lost art, because everyone needs 18,000 hours in TV, or 18 graphic novels, or a trilogy of films lasting 16 hours each. This one, Liam Sharp wrote it, painted it, and lettered it. Now, this is one mad epic sweeping. This is issue 3, I believe. Yeah, issue 3. This is one mad sweeping epic sci-fi story, fully painted, created, written, sung the theme tune, everything. Look at this. Beautiful, beautiful, fully painted artwork. And I know it's a bit of a throwback. It may come across as old-fashioned. What's the old-fashioned fart talking about? But this is glorious stuff. And not particularly here, but it did start, because I'm a big Frank Frazetta fan, it did start reminding me of Frank Frazetta, the master. But after a few pages, and it's a sci-fi thing, so we scoot backwards and forwards through time and space and Starhenge, lol. Look at this for Frazetta. If this isn't, And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. Look at this stuff, these demons and monsters, fully painted, and you can tell it's obviously a dream job for Liam Sharp. This stuff, I just love it. I'm loving this stuff, and like I say, after the modern stuff, the modern artwork, which I'm enjoying as well. I'm enjoying as well because I'm not all about the old farts, but it is good to have this balance at the moment. This is what's good about, like I'm saying, so much to rave about comics at the moment. The balance we're getting between these old masters, shall we call them, you know, Mark Waid writing Batman versus Robin, John Romita Jr. on Spider-Man, Liam Sharp coming back with, you know, this creator driven, you know, image you're doing. Look at this, look at that. That's what we want. That's what we want in comics. Come on, this is great shit, man. This little thing, the first series, issue 1 of 4, so they've done a 6-issue series. I think it was a couple of years ago. AWA is a kind of little independent comic book company, obviously US, blah blah blah. Kerr Andrews done the first series. He's back for the second series, writes it, and on the artwork as well. And I just really enjoyed it. The first series kind of out Spider-Man. It's the story of a kid at a new school, but in the modern day. Here we go, look, that ain't Spider-Man, is it? But in the modern day, because he had him and his brother, him and his older brother, in a new school. They've got a single mum, and it's more to do with, it just reminded me so much of the classic Peter Parker stuff, the Ditko era of the setup of it all. Brian Reber is the colourist on it. Now, I really do appreciate the fact that these colourists now, and even you can tell on these few pages, how much the colourist is lending to Kerr Andrews' artwork. And, you know, without these colourists now, they're just as much an artist as they've got to be. They've got to know the colours. They've got to know, you know, that would be so much flatter. And I know we're only talking about hair now. I know that might sound a bit girly, and I'm pointing to a girl, but without doing all this, and this is only hair, look, how much flatter this would be, just tinting her hair. Look, and I know, you know, I know I'm fixating on hair, but it's just to illustrate what I'm talking about. And this is just good. For me, he's a millimetre short of cartoon, but it works for this story. It works for the characters. Reminds me a bit of Scotty Young. In certain places he doesn't. He's his own artist, and I'm not saying he's a poor copy or even a copy. I'm just saying it just reminds me they're in that same camp, shall we say. And this is all good stuff. Look, superhero hasn't even turned up yet, but you're just in with these characters. You're in with these characters. That's very Scotty Young. I don't know what makes me think that. Maybe it's because it's it's not a Scott Campbell, the length of my entire room, and here's erratic. And like I say, I want to, if you like the look of this, and I'll skip through it, and you like the sound of it, and it is very, very his powers aren't Spider-Man or kind of anything resembling that, but the whole way they've done this is. So anyway, that is the last of my recommendations, and I will bid you adios from there, and hope that this may have got you stepping back foot into a comic shop. And if you can't step back into a comic shop, perhaps you might get online and you've seen enough on my channel to think, oh, I'll give that a go, because please do, it's well worth it. Get your ass back into comic shops, guys. Adios.